Hello there, it's Aussie Star Wars Nerd. Walkers have evolved quite a lot since their first chronological appearance in Attack of the Clones, and today we're going to take a brief look into every single walker from the Republic to Final Order, starting with ATTEs. All-terrain attack walkers were basically giant beetles with blasters on them. Unlike many other walkers on our list, the 22-meter long walkers could be transported fairly easily by a Republic dropship. Next up, we have by far the silliest looking walker ever seen. Of course, it is an AT-AP. All-terrain attack pods were three-legged walkers used mainly by the Republic. They are also used by the Empire and Rebellion. Now the next one is a walker that was used throughout all three eras of Star Wars. AT-RTs. All-terrain reconnaissance transports are two-legged walkers that had no roof and a blaster turret mounted on top of them. Their small size of 3.5 meters did have one major benefit. They could reach speeds of up to 75 kilometers an hour. This next one makes you question what exactly the Republic was thinking when they made this. AT-OTs, or all-terrain open transports, were one of the most questionable of the Republic's designs. They were designed to transport people and cargo between places at their own posts. However, they had 8 legs and were 6 meters shorter than ATTEs at 14 meters. Next, we have by far the biggest walker on the list. SPHATs were self-propelled heavy artillery turbo lasers, were 12-legged walkers that were over 140 meters long. They were used by the Republic as anti-air weapons that could move at up to 35 kilometers an hour. That brings us to the end of the Republic's walkers. Now we'll move on to the Empire's walkers, starting with AT-DTs. All-terrain defense turrets were 9-meter tall, two-legged walkers that fired a laser that exploded when it hit its target. There are only 2 flaws with this design: their slow speed and light armor. Next we have AT-PTs. All-terrain personal transports were small walkers equipped with only 2 twin blasters at the front. Moving on now to AT-DPs, all-terrain defense pods were 7.5 meter tall bipedal walkers seen mainly in the Rebels series. They were equipped with only a heavy laser cannon but could destroy medium vehicle armor in one shot. Next up we have the most well-known, AT-ATs, and I can finally say that it is AT-ATs. Mark Hamill confirmed it. Anyway, all-terrain armoured transports were 22-meter long, 20-meter tall walkers equipped with 2 medium blasters on the side of the cockpit and 1 heavy laser cannon on the chin. Now we have another very well-known walker, AT-STs. All-terrain scout transports were used by the Empire mainly to defend AT-AT's flanks. They are equipped with twin blaster cannons on the chin. On one side of the cockpit there was a light blaster cannon, and on the other side there was a concussion grenade launcher. Next we have a variant of AT-ATs seen on Scarif, AT-ACTs. All-terrain armoured cargo transports were larger versions of AT-ATs, designed to transport cargo. Despite not being specifically designed for combat, they still posed a huge threat for the Rebellion. Now we have Scuttlers. Scuttlers were prototype designs of all-terrain assault crafts. They were armed with only 1 laser cannon and, as the name suggests, look more like spiders than any other walkers on the list. Next we have OICTs. OICTs were walkers that were made to be movable cranes. They were used on Corellia and Mustafar. The final Imperial walker on the list are AT-MPs. All-terrain missile platforms were armed with a laser cannon and 8 missile launchers. Now that the Empire's walkers are all done, we have the First Order walkers, although I kinda wish these ones weren't canon. Anyway, kicking off the First Order is AT-HHs. All-terrain heavy haulers or tug walkers were used to pull large objects behind them, like the super laser cannon in the worst Star Wars movie. You know the one I'm talking about. Next up, we have AT-M6s. All-terrain Mega Caliber 6 were huge walkers that were 40 meters long and 35 meters high. They are equipped with a turbo laser cannon, dual laser cannons, and 2 medium anti-airship laser cannons. Next up we have AT-MAs. All-terrain mobile artilleries were mainly for defense, as they were stationed on Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. Moving on now to the next walker, we have AT-HSs. All-terrain heavy scouts were walkers that had a very different design for the legs than any other walker. They're equipped with laser cannons and heavy shields. This next walker is very different to all other walkers because it is actually a droid. AT-PDs, or all-terrain patrol droids, were armed with 2 heavy laser cannons and were positioned across important locations on Starkiller Base. Now we have the First Order's knockoff of Imperial walkers, starting with the First Order's AT-ATs. First Order all-terrain armoured transports were almost exactly the same as their Imperial predecessors. However, they had a boarding ramp on the chin and their primary cannons were on the side of the cockpit instead of on the front. And the second and final knockoff walker is the First Order AT-ST. First Order all-terrain scout transports were again almost identical to the Empire's AT-STs. However, they did have a few improvements such as better stability, armor, and weapons. Next up we have Mobile Assault Walkers. Mobile Assault Walkers were basically the First Order's versions of AT-RTs. They had 2 forward-facing laser cannons and 1 pivoting chin-mounted laser cannon. I know I said at the beginning of the video that AT-APs look like the silliest design, but I've just remembered the UATT. Urban Assault Type Transports had a third limb that had 2 purposes. The first was to stabilize them when they fired their blaster cannons, and the second was to grab enemies like the Rancor in Book of Boba Fett. And if you'd like to know who the Rancor is in Book of Boba Fett, then watch this video here. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.